Hi YouTube, so today I'm going to be filming a video on my foundation routine. It's not anything too special or anything, I just thought I'd show you the products that I'm currently using. So just to give you an idea of the kind of skin I have an oily skin type and it is acne prone, so I do get blemishes and I get an awful lot of scarring from it. So I do like a heavier coverage if I can. The other problem that I have that doesn't really relate to the foundation itself, but I do have a problem with colour matching because my skin tone is different on my face, as in this part of my cheeks has very little pigmentation in it, so even like when I tan or anything this will always be lighter. So it does need a lot of evening, the skin tone itself, but also matching it to my body. Matching it to my neck and chest generally means lightening it down, lightening the skin tone down, but because of the climate that I'm in, the rest of my body is usually covered up, so it would look odd if I was to match it to the rest of my body because it would be a totally different colour. I don't know if you might be able to see even from my hands, but so I do try to match it more to my neck and chest, unless I'm wearing something where you can see my arms or my legs maybe, so that just I look like one person, and then maybe kind of take it down. So that's just another little issue I have with foundation. But anyway, so the first product that I use is a primer, because as I said I get acne and blemishes, so between scarring and blemishes itself and open pores with the oiliness, the texture needs smoothing out. So I always like to use a primer, and the primer that I'm using at the moment is the Professional primer from Benefit. Just looks like that. And it feels very lightweight to me anyway. I think the first time I used it, it was kind of like I smoothed it into my fingers and was rubbing it into my face. I was like, where is it gone? It's just such a light texture, but it's very smooth. So I just start kind of here where I need the most of it, or where I need it most, because this is where I tend to break out on my cheeks. And then I just pull whatever is left over the rest of my face. And I do like to use clean fingertips for that. So the foundation that I'm currently using, or the foundations, are MAC Pro LongWear and Revlon Colorstay. As you can see, they're very different colours, so I mix them. As I said, I'm all multicoloured, but the Colorstay is in sand beige, and that would be closer to, say, my neck and chest. And the MAC NC30 would be closer to, say, my hands and my arms and the rest of my body. So I mix those to get an okay colour. The other reason I mix these is because I love the coverage and the staying power of the Revlon Colorstay, and the MAC one also has a great staying power, so it doesn't compromise on that. And the MAC one does have a little bit of a coverage on its own, but I don't feel that it compromises the mixture too much. And the one thing I will say that I don't like about the Revlon Colorstay, which everybody else says as well, is that it doesn't have a pump you have to pour it out. So generally you get too much. And the brush that I'm going to be applying it with is the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. The one that I tend to reach for the most would be the buffing brush, but this one is quite dirty, so that needs a washing. And once I kind of have my full layer on, I just take a bit more and push it over the areas where I need more coverage, say over my blemishes. So that's pretty much the foundation done. It's not an exact match to my neck and chest, but at the same time, like I said, I want to look like the same person, you know, if I reach my hand up or anything like that. So I'm just going to start blending it down. And don't forget to get kind of behind the ears and on the ear itself if you need to. I tend to prefer to use just whatever is left on the brush, but sometimes I do need to just touch into the foundation a little bit more. I don't like to add too much product to my neck and chest because it just transfers onto clothing and stuff. And there's not really a need for coverage, like you just need the colour. So another good tip for that is to mix it with a little bit of moisturiser to make it like a tinted moisturiser. So you're just getting the colour, not the coverage. I just don't have a moisturiser in front of me. And I have quite a bit of product left, so making use of it. So hopefully now I look like one person pretty much. Now for concealer. Again, this is kind of the problem with concealer colours because, you know, it depends what kind of colour foundation I'm going for, you know, depending on what I'm wearing and also where on my face it is. So if I'm not wearing foundation, say, and I just want concealer, I'm going to need one that's a lot lighter, because generally I'm using it on my cheeks and that's where my face is lighter. And then if I'm wearing foundation, sometimes that can be too light, so I am going to go in with the lighter one that I tend to use and then blend it in with the foundation brush. So there might be a little bit of product left on this and it'll just blend the colour of the foundation over it, say. So to apply my concealer, I'm going to be using the Sigma Precision Tapered P86, which just looks like this. It's a pointed synthetic brush. The concealer I'm going to be using is Makeup Forever's concealer from this palette. This palette is the number 1 and this is their 5 Camouflage Cream palette, and I'm going to be using the centre one, and that is number 14. So I'm just taking that on the tip of the brush. I'll pull my mirror closer. And I'm going to pat it over any blemishes or scarring that are showing through. And if you're going to be double dipping in your own product, do make sure to sanitize it with like Beauty So Clean. Otherwise, scrape a little bit out onto the back of your hand maybe, and then work from there, because you're touching your face and your blemishes generally and then putting it back into the product. So make sure to sanitize it or just wipe off the top layer of it after you've used it, but that will waste your product. And I did just tweeze my eyebrows, so I have a little bit of redness there. So I'm just going to tap over it to slightly blend it in. And it is a little bit lighter, but it's not too bad. But if you're concealing your blemishes and your concealer is too light, you're basically highlighting them, which isn't what you want. So a lighter concealer can be nicer for under the eyes, but on blemishes you want it to kind of match your skin. So I'm taking my foundation brush with a little bit of product on it, and I'm just going to push over to basically colour correct, so that it's not too much lighter than the foundation itself. And I'm pushing and not wiping, so that I'm not wiping the concealer away. So I just went back in and touched up the darker ones that were showing through more. I'm blending it in with the foundation brush again. Now when you're covering up, if you have acne or whatever you're covering up, sometimes it can be quite frustrating if it's not, you know, going to be as flawless as you'd like. Sometimes you just have to accept that you know, this is your skin and you can't, you know, completely redo it. You know, you have to accept reality somewhat. So using concealer isn't going to just erase, you know, all your flaws. You know, you can just do your best. Right now I'm actually using an acne treatment that is to dry out the blemishes, so the skin is all, or the around the blemishes, that's actually a little dry, so I'm finding that my concealer is just catching on it a little bit. I don't know if you can see from over there. For under eye concealer, going into this palette again, I use this peachy one, and this is number, I think it's number 13, or else it's 15. 13 or 15. I'm actually going to use my ring finger for this because these are quite solid and it's quite cold here, so they're not, so they are quite hard. So the warmth of your finger will help soften a product. So I'm just kind of patting my finger on top and just getting it on there. And then placing it on my dark circles. For my powder, I'm going to be using Makeup Forever's HD Loose Powder, like this. And I'm using this because I know I'm not going to be photographed. For a night out, I wouldn't use this if there might be pictures, because it flashes back terribly. If you haven't seen any images of it or any videos on it, Google Makeup Forever HD powder celebrities or something, you probably get pictures of people on the red carpet with big white rings under their eyes. Goss Makeup Artist has a good video on it, as far as I remember, and he just explains that it's the silica in this that it's flashing back, and that it does turn transparent once it absorbs oil. So if it's applied too heavily or applied to, say, dry skin and it's not, you know, blended in or anything, buffed into the skin, it will flash back. So say if you do have to use it for whatever and you might be photographed, just make sure that you buff it into the skin, and that you, if your neck is on show, just take it down your neck so if it does flash back a bit, at least you'll be even. You won't be just ghostly white and then tanned or bronzed or whatever. So that's pretty much my routine. I don't do this every day at all. A lot of days I don't wear makeup at all. And some days if I do wear makeup, I'll just use like Bourjois Healthy Mix foundation, or a bit of concealer. You know, this isn't by any means what I do on a daily basis. This is just if I wanted to do a good enough foundation. You know, if I wasn't feeling confident with my skin going out, or for a night out even, this is what I tend to do. But for today I'm just going to fill in my brows, a bit of mascara, a bit of lip gloss, maybe some blush, and go out the door. And if you haven't seen, I do have a video on how I do my eyebrows, so go check that out if you haven't already. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. It does mean a lot to me. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed, leave a comment below, and subscribe if you're feeling generous, and I'll see you in a later video. Bye!